So, regardless of how this sim started out, I mean, that first day was a disaster. But putting all that aside, once you finally do get into the sim and start to experience everything and go to those airports that you did in 2020, things are different. Things are much different. And it's little things that you may not notice right away, but then you just sit and look around, and that's when it just, okay, yes, this is an improvement. And yeah, there's a lot of bugs and a lot of quirks and a lot of things that are definitely wrong with this simulator. But it's going to take time, and we're going to get there. For now, just let's enjoy it. So, let me take off here. I am in the Beechcraft Bonanza, I think it is. Oh, I gotta remember my controls here. Make sure everything's good. I am currently running with, my system is a 9900X with 7900 XTX. And that's not the ideal setup. I know a lot of people out there, a lot of reviewers are using the 4090 and maybe the 7800 X3D or the recently released 9800 X3D to get a little more performance. But mine's on its way. I don't have it yet. And my 4090 is currently in my other rig with Intel, with the 14900. So I'm doing AMD testing right now. I'm going to have a video released on that in a little bit. Today, we're talking about something different. So let's go ahead and use the correct controls here and take off. We're flying out of Innsbruck, and it's one of my favorite places to fly here. There we go. Nice and steady. Yeah, everything looks just a little bit better. I did have the crashes and the 97% loading. I had 6% loading the language, all of that. Whatever you guys experienced, I've experienced it as well. So it was a rough launch here. But here we are. This is 2 days now after the launch. I can get in no problems. The load time is pretty quick. And other than small issues that happen with, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, there's crashes, crash to desktop, things like that. It's all the same stuff. But one of the biggest things that I have a concern with, and kind of the main point of this video, is compatibility with other products, with other companies that have ties with the simulator. And one of the main ones for me is DOF Reality. That's what I'm sitting in right now. This is it was the H2 platform, and now it's been upgraded to the H3. So I have the 3 axes there of movement. And I fired up the sim, finally got in after waiting for a day, had everything ready to go, all my hardware set up, it took the time to set up all the controls, and then loaded up that first flight, and nothing happened. There was no movement whatsoever. And then digging a little deeper, of course, you see that DOF Reality uses Sim Racing Studio as kind of the interface for that movement. And when you look at the compatible games list for Sim Racing Studio, 2024 is not on there. And as of yesterday, there was no official compatibility released on their site, so there's no beta download or anything. Well, there is now. Now we can test out motion. And I want to see if the motion that I feel, flying this very familiar route here in the planes that I'm used to, because everything has carried over from 2020 now, is the motion different? Is there something different with that telemetry that's being passed to Sim Racing Studio and then on to the motion platform here? Are there any improvements, or is it the exact same as before? Which, in 2020, it's not bad. Like, everything's great. There is, quite a bit of lag, and that's a separate issue. Maybe that's fixed. Who knows? But how's the turbulence? How's the crosswinds taking off? How do the planes feel while you're flying them? How do they react to different environmental factors? Things like that. I'm definitely curious to try it out. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to start recording just my desktop so we can go through the process of updating Sim Racing Studio. And then from there, we'll load up this same location everything the same. Go for a flight and see how the movement is in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Okay, so now that we're back on the desktop, we can take a look at Sim Racing Studio here. And let's just go over to setup and we'll see what version that we're on. Go to the app, see 2.33.0.14. Now, I did reach out to DOF Reality and they told me that there is a new beta version released. And that should be as simple as going to Sim Racing Studio. And then let's look at downloads and hopefully it is there. Latest beta. Check the version and see if it is different. Download. Beta release. I don't like that you have to sign in. That's odd. Okay, so we'll open this up. I wonder if you can just download the .exe instead. Might be easier instead of unzipping it like this. Either way, let's extract it. And install. It's probably going to tell me that I have the other one open and that it can't install. Let's see if it closes it out. No, pretty straightforward. All right. Motion compensation. Let's take a look at licenses and see if we have to reactivate. But okay, so motion compensation, good, carries over. So everything carries over. Let's see if the app says that it's updated. So now we're on .34.8.0. Good, so that's definitely the beta. Now, if we go to games, we should see Flight Simulator. Where is it? Flight Simulator 2020. There we go. Look at that. Non-Steam config. I definitely want to see what this port is. Well, the port's the same. Okay, well, all right. We're configured. So what I'm going to do now is fire the sim back up, get back into VR, and we will see if we get movement when we load our first flight using the same aircraft at Innsbruck. So I'll see you guys in a second. Okay, so we are back. It's a little bit different than 2020 already because of how much movement there is in the menus, which is kind of surprising. So in 2020, you would get onto the runway and then there would be some movement while the plane is moving in that kind of intro that you would have before you get the ready to fly. As the plane is taxiing, it would show it moving back and forth, and the platform here would move with it. Then you'd hit ready to fly and it would kind of settle you down. But here, like as it's zooming in to the location, you get movement. So if you're sitting in here while you're setting things up, it just kind of shakes you around a little bit. But looks like it is responding to the sim. We are set up and ready to take off. So let's go ahead and see how things are. All right. There is a little bit of weather, so a little bit of rocking back and forth with the wind here. You can see that in the wings. Just subtle movements, and I haven't seen any, or I haven't felt any movement yet. So let's go ahead and get going here. Try to keep it nice and straight. And up we go. Gear up and away we go. A nice solid thunk for the landing gear coming up. That's always nice. So let's level it out here. Get the flaps up. and start flying around. See how responsive it is. There's still a little bit of lag. Like as soon as you start turning, it does take just a little bit to catch up. So normally when I go around the mountain faces here, you get quite a bit of turbulence as you're going through there. So let's see how that is. It's looking great. The colors in this are so much better. Yeah, you can add filters and stuff to 2020 and you can make it look a lot better, but this is stock out of the box. Nothing changed. And it looks like you've been modding 2020 to make it look like this. That's how it feels to me. You can feel it bouncing around a little bit. Let's get up close to the side of this mountain here. Yeah, a little bit of turbulence. Not too much. How about if we go over this here? Not much at all. I don't see the plane moving a lot either, so I don't think it's an issue with the telemetry that's being sent. It's just not a very turbulent day flying around here. So let's make it that way. Now, one of the complaints that I do have with this sim is when you tab to get to the menu drop down in VR, it's terrible. It's really hard to see. I need to trim. Oh, there's a little bit of turbulence. Let's trim it out here. There we go. Okay, now I can mess around. All right, so I do have that set up. I've set all the VR controls up to the alpha, honeycomb alpha yoke here. So I should be able to tab. And then you see, if you can see that, how skinny it is. It's just not easy to navigate. So let's add a little bit of wind here. How do I add wind? Right around there. Wind speed. There we go. Now it's bouncing around. I don't really know how to add more wind. I'm not really familiar. There we go. Gotcha. Lots of wind. From different directions. And then let's lower this down right there. I don't even know how high I am right now. Let's move this over. Let's see, where am I at? Altitude. So 5,000 above ground. I don't know what that is. Above sea level here. So what happens? Oh, mean ground level. Okay. So what if I put this right at where I'm at? There we go. Well, how about if we just do a light thunderstorm? Oh, jeez. Okay, well, that's not going to work because I can't see anything. Broken clouds. There we go. So we do have the yaw movement. Yeah, like look at how the colors change with the overcast. That makes it look very realistic. Like when you're up high like this looking down, everything has that feeling of realism where the colors are just kind of muted. You know, the watercolor changes. It looks fantastic. I can't wait to try this with the 4090 because the 7900 XTX is just not doing it. Not quite. I'm not paying attention to anything. Like my RPM, the engine, I'm just full throttle. Now, you get lost sometimes just looking at everything, just admiring it. This sim has so much potential and it's going to get better. So everyone just has to be patient. So like we have compatibility with motion now. The VR is going to get better. We're going to see improvements, optimization with updates as they come out. I haven't tried the haptic. I've got the Next Level Racing HF8. I haven't tried that yet. Actually don't have it installed on this system at all. It's installed on the other system. So I'm going to download that next and try it out. But we are back to having motion in the sim and all is good. Okay, well I've been flying around for a little bit and I haven't really noticed anything different than Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 with the motion. It all feels exactly the same. Now I didn't get too much time using the H3 with the new motors here, or with the new gearboxes. It is a lot smoother, there's no cogging, but I haven't had a whole lot of time to sit here and get a good feel for it in 2020 before transitioning to 2024. So I don't have a real thorough comparison between them to see if there's any little differences, but as far as I can tell, just by flying around on this first flight, it feels identical. So there's no hiccups, very easy install of the software. All you gotta do is go to the site, download the beta, it installs right over top of the old one. Everything carries forward, including your licenses, and then fire up the sim and you're good to go. And that's pretty much it for this video. So if you do have that DOF Reality Motion Platform, or you're using SRS for anything else, like maybe the haptics, they do have the beta that supports this sim now. All right, well I'm gonna attempt a terrible landing with this thing, probably gonna crash. Haven't tried crashing with the motion, so we'll see how that goes, and I'll see you guys in the next one.